Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia offers the widest selection of sports cards and signed memorabilia in the city. For dedicated casual and new collectors, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia has everything a collector could ask for. Everything we sell is stored with care, and with help from our knowledgeable team, we'll help you find exactly what you're looking for. We carry Upper Deck hockey card brands like Series 1 and 2, The Cup, Ultimate, SPA, and plenty more. So what are you waiting for? Come down to Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Winnipeg's premier sports cards and memorabilia store. It's episode 3 of Scholasticks, our official Winnipeg High School Hockey League podcast on this Friday afternoon, 4:04 p.m., getting going a bit after 4 today, just simply because the podcast before the MFHL ran a bit later than I thought it would. Lot to talk about in that one today, as their season starts off tomorrow, but yeah, as for this league in the Winnipeg High School Hockey League, welcome in Winnipeg High School Hockey League fans into another episode of Scholasticks. I hope you're all doing well. You're watching on your official home of Winnipeg High School Hockey League coverage this year. Well, one of two official homes, this being for podcasts in terms of gshow.ca or on our YouTube channel at gshow productions. We will have a schedule to release soon here from this league. That should be within the next few weeks, but once that is in place, all the teams are placed where the competition committee feel they should be. We're then going to put out our schedule, start to make it, and then you'll be able to see that show up on our gshowproductions.uscreen.io service. But this episode is brought to you by a new sponsor into the mix, a few new sponsors into the mix in terms of elite prospects and goaltenders. Goaltenders has been with us since 2023. Happy to have them back this year, and Elite Prospects is a new addition to our brand in terms of our sponsorship partnerships. We're also glad to bring back Terrico and Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia this year, and another new sponsor welcome in terms of movement, fitness, and performance, a Winnipeg gym, locally owned here in the city of Winnipeg at 1111 Winnipeg Avenue in building number 3, if you ever feel like checking them out and seeing what they have to offer. Thank you to all of our sponsors for supporting us here. As for this episode today, I'm going to be joined by two guests, two coaches of championship squads from last season. The second interview, it was really great to get to talk to head coach in terms of the Riel Voyageurs and Robert Lafreniere about just the struggles that team had gone through, the road to getting to a point where they were able to be in a position to win a championship. And yeah, not quite to the same extent, but Vincent Massey, for them it was a few years of building towards their championship season, which was last year in 2024-2025. Not only winning the Platinum Promotions Division championship in the playoffs and going undefeated while doing so, but also going on a perfect run in the provincials to become last year's provincial champions here in Manitoba in high school hockey. Their head coach, Ben Kirton, joins the show coming up next to start off our guest interviews today by talking about last season, what made that run so special, as well as talking about this season coming up, what he's liking from what should be another strong Vincent Massey squad. That's coming up next on this edition of the Scholasticks podcast. Ben Kirton, join the show next. Alrighty, and your last name's pronounced Kirton?
Yeah, Kirton, just like on a window.
All right, sounds good. It's the head coach of the defending Platinum Promotion Division champion, Vincent Massey Trojans, Ben Kirton, joining this edition of the Scholastics podcast. Ben, When we take a look back at last season, not really much to complain about if you're the Vincent Massey Trojans. Not only did this team finish first place in the Platinum Promotions Division regular season, took home the championship, and also went on a perfect run in the provincials. Special roster. Just simply, what was that like taking it all in?
Yeah, no, it 100% comes down to all the players on our team. It probably just starts in the locker room. We had last year a really tight knit group of kids. This upcoming year will be my third year, and when I first started, we just had a core group of grade 10s that now they'll be going into their grade 12 year. But yeah, they've kind of just taken on collectively a leadership role and just made sure that the locker room's been, a brotherhood there. I've never seen more kids, gel that fast at any level of hockey. Um, there's always times where you're going to have clicks or you're going to have maybe a couple guys that don't get along the whole entire year, and you might have to pull some guys aside as a coach and have some chats. And thankfully, I've never had to do that. So I just think it
Yeah.
comes with kind of the brotherhood that the guys have created in the locker room is kind of where it all started.
Yeah, for sure. And just taking a look back at last year's team, like you said, a bunch of grade 10s a few years ago. They were in grade 11 last year, going into grade 12. This year, a strong class of grade 12s and a lone 2009 born player there last year, too. But describing that, being able to not only have such a tight-knit group, but also the experience this group had, do you feel like that was maybe one of the most important things, knowing they've had that experience of playing in that level and putting it all together, and for most of them, they grew 12 years.
Yeah, exactly. Having them, been that deep of a playoff run and, being, reigning championships is, going to instill a lot of confidence in those guys coming into grade 12. Yeah, it comes down to that. Overall experiences too, had a pretty decent regular season record. We did go through some down points too, which I think is necessary for a championship team. If you never lose, you're not really going to handle it well. And yeah, we were prepared coming in, and the kids also took a trip to Anaheim. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go, but we played in a tournament down there too, which I think just helps being able to kind of go play somewhere in California is a good overall experience, just good life experience too, to get the kids somewhere like California to play.
Yeah, no doubt. And pretty sweet to be able to go out there, play the sport they love, and soak in some sun. I know that Winnipeg winters, they're a bit different, I assume, than California weathers in the summertime over there. But this group goes 6-0 in the playoffs, a perfect run in the provincial championship. Defensively, a really great team last season too. That could also put up a lot of offense when needed to. Talk about what that was like being able to watch this group put it all together at the most important time of the year to go 10-0 in really important games.
Yeah, it was pretty early on in the playoffs where kind of all the coaches talked about just the players kind of having our complete trust, and especially on the defensive end. We had a really strong 6D last year, and a lot of success came from that and being able to, and also our goaltending. We had a really strong goaltender as well, and yeah, I think last year we were a defense first team. We struggled at times putting up goals and putting up points, but we're really solid in our own zone.
Yeah, and I mean, only 39 goals against in 24 regular season games played. And then that, of course, ramping up to the dominance we saw throughout the playoffs and the provincials. Going into this year, a lot of grade 11s coming back from last year going into their grade 12 year. What's the process been like throughout training camp, trying to fill in the holes of the departed this year?
Yeah, we only lost four skaters, five including the goalie. So, yeah, just again, it's just who who's plugging in those pieces there. Having a lot of chats with the returning guys. What are these guys like in the locker room? We will ask to, who do you see being on the team? Who do you like out there? Who surprised you? But the big is the locker room. Who do you like in the locker room? Who's one of the funny guys that gets along with everyone? Who's maybe one of the quieter kids that, doesn't engage in conversations and chatting with the boys. So, yeah, it's a tough process too. Vincent Massey is a big school, and we had about 45 kids sign up for tryouts there. So yeah, it's tough. It's almost a gift, a blessing and a curse when only 4 spots to fill. Having majority returning guys coming is easy too, but it just makes those decisions a lot harder too, especially when you have a lot of good guys competing for those.
For sure. And I mean, just by taking a look at the roster, it seems like most of that defensive talent is coming back. This team taking more of a hit, maybe up front overall. Given that this team had a defensive first identity last year, and the strongest point of this team on paper was the defense and goaltending, how much confidence does that give the coaching staff moving forward into this year, knowing there's even much more experience in that area of the game specifically?
Yeah, I think it gives us a little bit more room to play too. Now that we know kind of the threshold of the guys, and kind of what their identity is and all their strong suits, it's kind of just all about picking another piece that will blend well, gel well with that. A lot of confidence in the coaching staff this year with the guys, and I know the guys are really excited for this upcoming year.
Yeah, and of course, the upcoming regular season starting sometime here soon in
Mhm.
October. We're a mere weeks away at this point, but preseason's still going along. Take the viewers through what the preseason schedule has been like for Vincent Massey so far.
Yeah, we played. We had 2 exhibition games, and we have one more today. Yeah, just with we played St. Paul's in Oak Park. We won both those games, and then we have another one with St. Paul's. And we usually try and take a look at St. Paul's and Oak Park, a couple of those other, I guess you want to say, rivalry schools there with us. That always get a big crowd of high school kids there when we play those guys. So
Right.
yeah, and typically we're all on the same. In the past couple of years, we've all been on the same level there. So trying to get some good looks at them. And yeah. Mhm.
I'll leave you off with this one question because you brought up something interesting in terms of getting big crowds into those preseason games. I know this is only your third year going in as head coach, but how huge is that as using preseason as a promotional piece in a way for this team, while also, of course, focusing on the task at hand, which is getting ready for the regular season?
Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, I remember, when there's bigger crowds, it seems to hype you up a little bit too. So I do like that the kids are, I'm always bugging them. Tell your friends at school, tell the kids the our schedule, and they got to the school's got a good Instagram page that has all our games and posts and highlights on there too, which is good. But yeah, I think it's also good for the game there too at high school hockey with it growing and with it somewhat being schedule friendly for the kids just right after school. It's easy to just after last class just get a carpool over to the game and just spend the couple hours there.
Oh, no doubt. And like you said, it's an exciting league. 36 teams in total in the league, one of them the Vincent Massey Trojans. Going into 2025, 2026, as not only the defending Platinum Promotions Division champions, but defending provincial champions. Their head coach, Ben Kirton, hoping to guide this Vincent Massey Trojans team back to a similar place this year. Ben, thanks for taking the time. Can't wait to see what Vincent Massey does this year.
Thanks so much, Graham. Thanks for having me.
And Ben Curtin joining this edition of the Scholasticks podcast, the official Winnipeg High School Hockey League podcast. And yeah, for the Vincent Massey Trojans, adding to their history of championships last season. And just to recap once again, in the regular season, this team only lost 5 times. Yes, close in the standings between them. Oak Park, Westwood was at 18 wins, along with Oak Park. River East, right, had 16 wins. But Vincent Massey might have not had the most dazzling offensive numbers with 88 in those 24 games played. In fact, Oak Park, Westwood, and River East were all more higher scoring, and even a team like Springfield, who was more middle of the pack, had 100 goals. But where this team really excelled was in their own end defensively. 39 goals only against. A lot of continuity coming back there this year. And then when they needed them the most to step up, it happened in the playoffs. A 6-0 record for Vincent Massey, only 11 goals against. That's just under 2 goals against per average per game. And the offense coming through big time with 24 goals for. And then when they were asked to do it again, well, a perfect 4-0 run in the provincials or whatever that number might have been, but ran the table and ended up proving that they were the class of the province at the high school hockey league level last season. As for a team that's leveling up their game, the College Belleville Barracudas, my former school, getting some new uniforms. Jersey reveal dropped this past weekend, or a few days ago, I guess. Not this past weekend, but yeah, a few days ago. We'll get to that now. And there you have it from College Belleville. Digging the new threads, honestly. I know some people may not be a fan of teams that just have like their team name spelt out on their jersey, right? But I think it looks sharp, especially the stripes that have been added. Don't think they've had as many stripes as they have on that jersey as previous ones. From just thinking back in the past, and yeah, quite an evolution from the first jersey this program had back in like the mid 2010s, around 2014, up until yeah, I guess just over 10 years later, where it's yet another jersey switch for this team as they upgraded their jerseys a few years back at this point. Maybe longer off the top of my head. So much has happened in these past few years, and a lot happening very soon here in terms of the Winnipeg High School Hockey League. And the great thing about this league, year in and year out, is not every team is going to stay in the same division. If you win a championship and if you have a strong enough roster, that could very well move you up a division. And that's what I had a chance to talk to Robert Lafreniere about. He mentions it more near the end of the interview, but had a great conversation to talk to a head coach that took over this club going into his sixth season now. So it's been a few years under his belt now that he's been a part of this team. He told me 9 years in total he's been with them, 6 as a head coach, and he was there behind their bench when this team went 0-24, not once, but 2 years in a row. And the building process from that is just been looking at the trajectory of this program is just incredible to see in hindsight, as this team ended up not only being the best team in the Price division last season, but also taking home a championship. Quite sweet. Must have been really sweet given the fact that, yeah, it was 0-48 in 2 straight seasons at one point. But a few years later, Robert Lafreniere and last year's Louis Riel Voyageurs group ended up getting through the other side of the tunnel to experience greatness, and it was great to have a chance to talk to him about that this week on this edition of the Scholasticks podcast. Head coach Robert Lafreniere of the Louis Riel Voyageurs, the Price Division champions, defending champions coming into the season, champions last year. Robert, right before we started, you said you've been a part of this program for about 9 seasons, around 6 as head coach. Speak about last year's run, what that was like to see this dominant squad come out and do their thing.
Yeah, last year was really a culmination of a lot of hard work and effort by the boys. They put together a very strong season on the back of the previous season being strong as well. Coming out of COVID, we stumbled hard out of the gate and went 2 seasons with 0-24 records. So we had ended up with an 0-48 record over 2 years, and these last 2 seasons the work had finally started to pay off.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, must feel even sweeter being able to get your hands on that championship, given that context of having back-to-back 0-24 seasons. But, going into that, I guess, what do you feel it kind of changed along the way to get this group, I guess, the school heading back on that right direction towards becoming a championship contender again?
Um, Buy-in from the kids, the hard work, uh, day in, day out. Uh, we ended up getting some, very talented players that decided to play high school hockey, um, from grade 9, grade 10 up, and we really had success with a team game.
Yeah, and I mean last year it all coming together where this team way ahead in the goals for category and one of the best defensive teams in the Price division last season too. Fast forward, I guess, a couple of years down the road from that most recent 0-24 season, and this team is first place last year. Only dropped 2 games in the regular season, a juggernaut heading in. What was that message to the team before the playoffs started, though? Really keeping them dialed in and having them focused on what was that task?
It was the same message right through all year, and that message was, we're only going to do this if we do it together as a team. Um, we went into that last season uh, with one natural defenseman being a ninth grader, um, and the rest being forwards. So we moved players. We rotated defensemen all year, and then in the playoffs, finally broke it down to the 3 to 4 to 5 guys to play D. So it the, yeah, like I said, buy-in was just, it was complete all year.
Yeah, and I mean, given that context that this team was lacking in terms of natural defensemen, to be able to see a group like this for certain players to step up, give, I guess, some more context into how truly special this group was. You've spoken about the buy-in, but just the hockey IQ, the skill to be able to do that, that's no easy feat.
Yeah, well, we knew we were going to be strong offensively. We've got some really strong, gifted offensive players uh, from the beginning of the year. Well, since COVID, we rely. Let me back up a little bit.
No worries.
We put in place. Everybody needs to know everybody's position. Everybody needs to know everyone's role. Um, all players do defensive drills. All players do offensive drills, right through. So when somebody goes down or we need to make changes, it's next man up. Anybody can play with anybody. Um, so, like I said, going in offensively, we've got some really talented players, and it didn't matter if they were playing, center, defense, or wing. They were Anybody was a threat to score or make that big defensive play.
Yeah, and just to say the stats exactly here from last season, the regular season, 209 goals for, 73 goals against. You fast forward into the playoffs where this team only dropped 2 games in the regular season and then two in the playoffs. And just taking a look at it, I mean, that offense. So I try to navigate the
Yeah,
website here, get down to the Price Division playoffs, not the regular season. But this Louis Riel team, 43 goals for, 24 goals against throughout the postseason. Speak about, that final series going up against a Warren Wildcats team that was top two in the Price Division, getting to see your squad at its best going up against their squad at its best.
yeah, absolutely. And they threw everything at us that they had. Unfortunately, we dropped game 2 against them, and there was no doubt in our mind that game 3 was going to be ours, start to finish. It didn't matter whether they plotted a goal or not. The boys were determined to come out with a victory.
Yeah, and I feel like it's just one of those special groups, right? They feel the moments there and they're able to finish it off. The moment when it actually
Absolutely.
happened though, Robert, seeing the clocks hit zeros and this team finally being able to to crown themselves as the Price Division champions, the specialty of that moment?
Oh, it was absolutely amazing. We had alumni from the past 2 years that were in the crowd watching. You know, guys that had gone 0-24. There was you know, two, three players on the team, excuse me, that had been, you know, part of that 0-24, and it was a pretty emotional moment for everybody. You know, to go from that to winning within a couple of years.
Yeah, no doubt. And to have players, like you said, that were there from the uh, teams that have gone through that pain, those struggles of the 0-24, to have them there to see that moment, I think that's truly special, no doubt about it. Just taking a look at last season's roster, I mean, heading into this year as we fast forward into the 2025-2026 season. Quite a few 08s on last year's roster, some 09s, and then a 2010 born player on there. Of course, losing some
Two,
07 born talent.
yeah,
Yeah. Two 2000 born players or two players you guys are
two,
losing.
two, two 2010 players last year. We had two grade nines, and this year, yeah, we only lost. Well, we lost three. We lost two to grade 12, and one of our goalies. So one of them, sorry, one of our grade 12s was a goalie, and another one was one of our forwards that we converted to defense.
Yeah.
And and we lost our second goalie because he was we had gotten him from CPET. So this
Right.
year he made CPET, and and we're moving on. So we've got a new young goalie tandem there that we feel pretty confident in,
Nice.
and uh, and we're coming back with basically the same forward group, and we're adding a couple defense that not a couple more natural defensemen to the team. So it's looking very positive.
Fantastic. And yeah, just by looking at the roster, like even though this team lost just a bit of talent, not much lost at all. A lot of returnees coming into this year and players that, of course, are going to be that much older, that more experienced heading into this year. With that opportunity, like you said, to add more actual defensemen, natural defensemen to the team, adding, more youth to this experience. I'm sure, like you said, the optimistic is at an all-time high heading into a year where this team, their best result coming off of that last year under you as head coach.
Yeah, and we're planning to move up a division into the B division. So and we're planning on competing there as well.
Yeah, and of course, quite a big moment being able to go from the Price division to the Winnipeg Free Press division. I guess from a perspective of a program, going in knowing that this team has gone through, the struggles and has gone through the adversity and has come out the other side with a championship. That must give this team even much more confidence knowing that this program's gone through adversity and made it out positively, going up another level.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I give you a little bit more history on it. Um, for the 3 years coming out of COVID, uh, we were icing a 12-man roster. Up until last year, last year was the first time we had more than 12 skaters on our team. So we ended up in some games, some situations with 9 skaters. Players that we had two defensemen 2 years ago that ended up playing 3 or 4 games, the full game with no break. So the resiliency of this group is pretty remarkable, and it shows to their heart and their passion for the game and the sport.
Yeah, and that's incredible to hear those sacrifices, being able to, of course, see this group in a position now where they're moving up into that next division. Got to end off with this, Robert. Not only does it seem like the spirit of this team is at an all-time high from within the team, but what's the crowd been like? You spoke about it a bit, but being able to see the school atmosphere more involved in the games as the years have gone along here since COVID.
Yeah, no, it's we play out of Notre Dame Arena, and everybody, all the patrons always complain that it's pretty cold in there, but the heart and the passion of the fans really warms it up.
Oh, for sure. And not many rinks out there nowadays that are as cold as Notre Dame for sure. Haven't been there for quite a while. Excited to, swing by there a few times this year as we cover this Louis Riel Voyageurs squad. But before we let you go, let the viewers in on what the preseason schedule has been like for this year's team heading into another exciting year of hockey.
Just practices. We're just trying to get ready for the season. We don't typically do many exhibition games. Try to avoid them at all costs and just get our group dialed in and ready to go.
That's fair. A bit of a different approach compared to the rest of the teams, but hey, it worked out for Louis Riel last season. As this team coming off of a Price Division championship, like their head coach Robert Lafreniere said, hoping to move up a division this year into the Winnipeg Free Press Division. Great to be able to talk with you, Robert. Best of luck coming up this year. Thanks, and yeah, we'll see you around the rink soon here.
Have a great day.
And there you have it, our interview, or I guess my interview with head coach of the Louis Riel Voyageurs from last year's Price Division. Defending Price Division champions may not even be there to defend their title this year if they do move up to the Winnipeg Free Press Division, which we're hoping to confirm that in the next few weeks here, next couple at that. But what a year for Louis Riel. To think that at one point this program had gone 0-24 back-to-back seasons. They go 22-2 last year. Only 2 losses on the board in the regular season. 209 goals for, which was, well, the next best was, I believe, the Warren Wildcats at 148 goals for. So quite a difference there. They had a 136 goal differential in the regular season, meaning they only gave up 73 goals against. The only team that was better than them in that regard ended up being the Warren Wildcats, and a team where Louis Riel met them in the final, and it ended up, in the end being the better team, the best team in the Price Division, who brought it home. Mentioned them so many times last season, a team led by the Tetros, most notably. Luca is going to be back this season. They have a lot of good returning players that are going to be coming back. More natural D talent coming into the fold too, which that makes it even more impressive, that much more impressive that this team gave up 73 goals against only in the regular season. Just proves how versatile that team was. And yeah, in the playoffs, putting together a 6-2 run, 43 goals for and only 24 against. For Louis Riel, the competition may get a bit stiffer this year, but for Robert Lafreniere and his group, they've seen the very lows of the Winnipeg High School Hockey League, except for, well, that's for Robert at least, this group, of course. Not sure how many players are from that group coming into this year at this point, but players who know the history very well. And yeah, I forgot to ask him how the culture is in French in that school, since it is a French school. May need to get some pointers from Robert or some of the students there to refresh my French, since it's absolutely abysmal now. Kind of embarrassed how bad it's gotten since I went to a French immersion school all my life. But yeah, for an all French school in Louis Riel, Les Voyageurs are looking to make a splash whichever division they end up in this season. We're going to get into some news, some score updates, schedules, upcoming games here in the preseason as we continue to get set for the upcoming regular season. Preseason tournament is happening this weekend in Lorette. One of the teams that's going to be participating, as many teams are, but that's the Niverville High School, the Panthers hockey team. They'll be playing Gabriel Raw, Edward Schreier, as well as Lorette coming up this weekend, doubleheader coming up tomorrow for the squad from Niverville. As for Lorette, their first game of the tournament happening at 5 p.m. today at the Niverville Rec Center. Funny enough, we're actually going to be there for an MFHL game day broadcast tomorrow, which that's going to be a lot of fun. As for Murdoch McKay, as they're going to end up playing the Garden City Gophers today at 4:10 p.m. at 7 Oaks Arena sorry, not Murdoch McKay, that's Miles Mack. The Miles Mack Buckeyes taking on the Garden City Gophers. Apologies about that. Logo is very similar between Miles Mack as well as Murdoch, so that's a big error from me. Apologies about that. As for the Kildone and East Riviers, or the Riviers, I should say, they had a big win this week against the Windsor Park Royals. As for the Riviers, as we have for all these graphics so far, you can find out their upcoming game information for the remainder of the preseason, how they've been doing so far at Reviers_hockey on Instagram. And I'm pretty sick that they have Swag Surfing as their song. Vibes high for Kildone East here in the early stages of the season, not even before the regular season's gotten going here. As for the Sturgeon Heights Huskies, they took down St. Paul's in a close one, 2-1 this week. For Sturgeon Heights, they've had a number of preseason games under their belt already, and faring pretty well in all of them so far. And finally, for Lord Selkirk, yesterday they took on the Steinbach Regional Sabres, and for Lord Selkirk, they come away with the win. The Royals beat the Sabres 4-3. I believe that was in regulation. There's no OT, no shootout in the score. That happened at the Selkirk Rec Complex. Excited to see how they do this season, as Lord Selkirk for sure usually is a Platinum Promotions Division team. And speaking of, very interesting as I should say, that Riel just doesn't choose to play any preseason games. Worked out pretty well from them last year, and of course, I think that's the great thing about this league, is teams can kind of handle their prep however they see fit. I know the showcase that I just got done doing this past weekend, our company did it down in Portugal Prairie, as we were promoting it heavily through all of our podcasts leading up to the event. But the Central Plains Capitals showcase, female hockey teams, their regular season starts this weekend, most case for most of them. But some of those teams haven't even played games with each other and look really good together. And for some of these teams, they've had a lot of time to practice with each other, and that's not the case in high school, as the tryout process is very different than female hockey. But certain teams approach seasons in different fashions, and as long as it's not all about the winning championships and stuff. It's about developing the players in your program, right? But it sure is sweet and brings a lot of school pride when you're able to strive for that championship and able to build a team that can be championship caliber like. But really all the news from around the league that we're going to get into in this episode, going to feature more from around all teams in the league, and that'll be more clear in terms of what to talk about once the divisions get set, which will be very soon. And very soon all these teams are going to have their final cuts and their final rosters in place. I know that CJS just released theirs, even though they have one preseason game coming up left. But I guess, and it's kind of a cool opportunity, haven't really been able to relate with the leagues because I haven't played in the other leagues that we cover, and didn't play in this one, but tried out for my former school now in College Belleville, I guess my alumni school, or I guess I'm an alumni of College Belleville now. But to give some context, I tried out for that team 3 years in a row. second year just tried out, really knowing that was a really strong Belleville team that year. The hope was to play with my cousin, actually, but yeah, just didn't have the game, didn't have the skills to be able to make it to that level. Had a wonderful year in AA that year, even though I ended up fracturing my ribs, which is in some ways kind of a life-altering experience. That's it's a story for another day, but yeah, I still had aspirations to make that team, whether it was like if it was grade 10, great, but grade 11 I felt like was my year. And heading in, Belleville had a type of preseason prep camp to get in shape. I remember working out and going really hard in the summers. I loved to train when I was playing competitive hockey. Always had a goal to get better, and I remember getting a lot of praise from their coaching staff and players around me. I was actually closer than you may think with, some of the vets on that team, given that, it's close with my cousin and he was friends with them. So, rambling on about that, but heading into camp, I felt like, maybe my spot was already secure on the team from everything that's being said. But then you get into the tryout process and the exhibition games if your team plays them, and I remember just being an absolute mess, not focused on my game and just worrying if I make the team or not. And I remember thinking, well, they've said it, and it seems like my spot's secure, but what if I do something to mess it up? And all that confidence in the games kind of turned into just a nightmare for me. I played some of my worst hockey ever and just was disastrous with the puck. My game was all about going into the corners. I love to stick handle and create plays and stuff like that. None of that was happening. And it got so bad to the point where I was even asking now a college Belleville Barracuda coach and assistant coach in Quinn Keller, who was going into his final year with that team, asking him, hey man, do you think I did good? Like, do you think the coaches are gonna like me and keep me? And I could tell he was even getting annoyed, but it was just the 16-year-old me nervous, and it got so bad that I just couldn't perform. And I'll never forget going in and getting cut and just the disappointment and anger that I had, and just all the work that I felt that I had put in, and just disappointment in myself that I felt like I squandered an opportunity. And I guess the moral of the story is there's two things. There's one, don't think your place is already set on a team before you even go into tryouts, because here's another thing that I guess kind of led into my insecurities is other players, I heard them getting praise from different players, and I started to question if, were they lying to me? Do I have a spot on the team? Is it secure? And then that led into insecurities coming into my play, right? But I think the moral of the story is, like, the two things, like I said, don't get a big head and don't get in your own head. But also, I was in my grade 11 year. I still had an opportunity to come back next year. You gotta think of it as you gotta make the best of your opportunity. And that's exactly what I was able to do, meaning that if you get cut from your high school hockey team, it's not going to be the end for you. Because what ended up happening is I played for... They're not a team anymore. Apparently, it's just the Winnipeg Bruins, but they were the St. Vital Victorias at the time, AA team. I ended up going there and having my best season at that AA level, even better than the year before. Got more playing time than I would have on Belleville because they were a very good team. I was probably projected to be about a fourth-line player there. And yeah, ended up winning some personal accolades, like hardest working player, had my favorite moment ever in a playoff game, and made friends, and some of them I still talk to, and made bonds for life. And it was such a good experience that, in fact, I had a very good chance to make Belleville the next year, and just ended up releasing myself from the team, given my schedule, since I was in broadcasting school that year at ATC, so I was away from Belleville for actually a year. But yeah, a big reason was I wanted to come back and play with, a lot of those guys that were coming back to St. Vital. So, I mean, if you're able to find your home and find your place in the Winnipeg High School Hockey League, that's great for whatever team you try out on. And who knows, if you get cut, you could get picked up by maybe another team. I've heard that happen before. Usually it happens more so with goaltenders. But if you're to go down and play AA for a year, A1, A2, whatever it may be, just think about it this, and the second side of the story is just make the most of your opportunity and know that getting cut from a high school hockey team isn't the end of the year, because even then, like, I had a great chance and had a high chance to make it the next year, and that was because of my development in AA. And I guess the third point of the story would be, looking back at it, and it's such a cliche, and you've probably been told this by your parents in some capacity, but it is true living through it that you don't remember the wins and losses as much as you remember the memories you make with the people around you. So, I mean, if your friends are over in high school hockey, it's great if you're able to make memories with them, but, know that you'll have a chance to maybe come back next year and try out for your team unless you're a grade 12. You have a chance to go and work on your game and develop to become even better the next season if you happen to get cut. And remember that when one door closes, another door opens, and it could lead to long life friendships. So that's my message to everyone out there, every player that may be trying out in this league. And it goes for just sports in general is, yeah, the old cliche goes, and it's so true in this case. When one door closes, another door opens. How do you make the most of that opportunity? As for now, though, all these years later, broadcasting the Winnipeg High School Hockey League, we can't wait to get going this year. Yeah, a bit more on that, on some final words coming up next on this edition of the Scholasticks podcast. Commercial break, and then we'll end things off coming up.
Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia offers the widest selection of sports cards and signed memorabilia in the city. For dedicated casual and new collectors, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia has everything a collector could ask for. Everything we sell is stored with care, and with help from our knowledgeable team, we'll help you find exactly what you're looking for. We carry Upper Deck hockey card brands like Series 1 and 2, The Cup, Ultimate, SPA, and plenty more. So what are you waiting for? Come down to Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Winnipeg's premier sports cards and memorabilia store.
Welcome back to the Scholasticks podcast. Had a chance to pop over quickly to see the live chat, and thank you to Hockey's Cool for supporting us, tuning in. Thank you to everyone that tuned in and supported the show today. Hockey's Cool also telling me that it's a game between Murdoch, McKay, and CPET on Monday, so be sure to check out their Instagram accounts, as I'm sure information will be posted there coming up very soon, or maybe it's already been posted. But yeah, went on a bit of a rant, I guess, story time before we went to a break. But yeah, thought it was kind of fitting knowing that time is here where we're making some final cuts and stuff and getting ready for the upcoming season, which we'll have the schedule coming up here very soon on our website, gshow.ca. We'll drop it on our Instagram as well, which I believe we also get posts going to Facebook too. gshow_productions is where you can find us on Instagram. gshow.ca is our website, and full game schedule once we have it and once we determine it, which will be, like I said, in the next couple weeks, next few weeks or so. That is going to be released on our Uscreen website, so games will be available to purchase or to subscribe to, or whatever options we'll have available and in place. Thank you to Elite Prospects, Terrico, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Movement Fitness, and Performance and Goaltenders for sponsoring this edition of Scholasticks. Next episode comes out next Friday. We got a bunch of hockey on our Uscreen platform coming out in the next this weekend coming up, as well as next week and next weekend. Stay tuned on our Instagram as well as our website for details on that. Details are actually out for our opening week coverage coming up starting tomorrow in the MFHL on our website now. Be sure to check all that good stuff out. And Winnipeg High School Hockey League fans, until I see you again next week, I've been your host, Graham, the G Show Forsyth, talking about a whole lot to do with the Winnipeg High School Hockey League today, as we near closer and closer to 2025-2026, having the puck dropped on this wonderful league once again. Till next week, everybody. We'll see you then. Take care. G Show. Peace and out, and living so long.